A young man came to a house of prayer. They did not ask what brought him there. He was not friend, he was not kin, but they opened the doors and they let him in. And for an hour the stranger stayed. He sat with them and he seemed to pray. But then the young man drew a gun and he killed 9 people, old and young. In Charleston, in the month of June, the mourners gathered in a room. The president came to speak some words, and the cameras rolled, and the nation heard. But no words could say what must be said for all are living and the dead. So on that day and in that place, the president sang Amazing Grace. The president sang Amazing Grace. We argued where to lay the blame, on one man's hate or our nation's shame. Some sickness of the mind or soul, and how those wounds might be made whole. But no words could say what must be said for all are living and the dead. So on that day and in that place, the president sang Amazing Grace. My president sang Amazing Grace.
Hi, I'm Tom McGarry. As a Spokane County Fire Commissioner, I work every day with our first responders who are on the front lines of every crisis. Now more than ever, our communities need a representative who puts public health and safety first, follows the science, and works to get our schools and small businesses on the path to full recovery. We're all tired of divisive and ineffective politics. I'm ready to get to work for you, and I would be honored to earn your vote.
Zach Sapone comes from 6 generations of Spokane area wheat farmers, veterans, school secretaries, and teachers. After putting himself through college, he returned home to ensure everyone has a fair shot. As a teacher, he understands our needs. He wants to expand mental health services, create alternate pathways to careers through apprenticeships, and bring good-paying jobs to Spokane.
Let's build a future where everyone has a fair shot. I'm Zach Sapone, and I'm asking for your vote.
Some people say Bob McCaslin Jr. is a nice guy, but nice guys don't vote against our children, our health care, our economic future. And nice guys don't waste time trying to create a 51st state with Matt Shea.
I'm Lori Fagan. I don't make decisions based on political ideology. I rely on facts to find solutions. I've spent my entire career caring for the people in our community. I'm ready to fight for our needs in Eastern Washington.
Paid for by Friends of Lori Fagan.
Hi, I'm State Representative Marcus Riccelli. These are very difficult times, and though our community and state are resilient, we'll need strong representation to help keep us on track, fighting for the health, safety, fair share, and delivering for our region.
As your representative, Marcus Riccelli has catalyzed historic progress in our community. He led the bipartisan effort to create the WSU Medical School here in Spokane and its recent expansion. Representative Riccelli authored and passed the nation's strongest bill to ban discrimination in our rental housing markets, made certain our nurses were guaranteed meal and rest breaks, and led the initiative to provide dental access to 48,000 new low-income patients a year.
I'm proud of my track record of securing important investments in our community to create jobs and promote the interconnectivity of our region. I worked hard to fund the North Spokane Corridor to I-90, the Central City Line transit system, and the University District Gateway Bridge.
Marcus Riccelli has delivered on important local community projects, including for West Central Community Center, Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center, the Corbin Senior Activity Center, the YWCA Family Justice Center, the Carl Maxey Center, and the Women and Children's Free Restaurant.
There's a lot more work to be done. We must address the racial inequality and economic injustice that holds us back. We must demand accountability as we reimagine what is truly possible when we seek to repair our system. I'm ready to return to Olympia and continue to deliver for our community, to provide universal access to healthcare and childcare and improve our neighborhood schools. With your help, we'll grow our economy from the middle out, creating family wage jobs and make certain every person has an opportunity to thrive. We need an economy that works for everyone, not just the wealthy few.
Marcus will work hard to ensure each one of our kids has access to outstanding K-12 education, no matter where they go to school. He will lead initiatives on digital equity to provide internet access to all Washington's kids. Representative Marcus Riccelli will continue fighting for high-quality early learning programs and wraparound services to help close the opportunity gap and ensure every child in Spokane can reach their full potential.
A robust democracy can only exist with an active and engaged citizenry. Thank you for doing your part. I'm confident that together we can bring our shared vision for Spokane to fruition. I ask for your vote.
I know I don't have to tell you how important this election is, but please, I beg your indulgence, give me an opportunity to rant about my thinkings about the reason this is so important, because of what's happening on a national level, where we need actual, responsible, honest, rational adults in those positions. Joe Biden, Dave Wilson. At the state level, Governor Jay Inslee, who's been a champion for our values in the governor's office, as well as all the other statewide elected Democrats. Locally, at the county commissioner, David Green, Ted Cummings. At the legislative level, all of our entire legislative delegation, this is critical. It's not so critical for each one of those individual races. It's critical that we demonstrate our willingness to take our values to Olympia and demonstrate them in terms of public policy and in terms of budget. We're going to get there, and we're going to lead with our values, democratic values, with an Eastern Washington twist. I want to thank all the candidates that stuck their neck out and put their name on the ballot, and for all of you that worked hard on their behalf. This is important. I know you know that. It's time to bring it home. It's time to get it done.
Hi, I'm Andy Billig, and I have the honor of serving as your state senator from the 3rd Legislative District, as well as the Washington State Senate Majority Leader. Thank you for being a part of this virtual event. I'm hopeful that we're going to have a lot to celebrate tonight. In many ways, it feels like we're at a tipping point, politically, with racial justice, with our health and our healthcare system, with the climate, and so many other areas. And the thing about a tipping point, and I always think of those old-timey scales, the thing about a tipping point is that every action you take can potentially tip the scales one way or the other. And that's why it's so important that you voted and helped with campaigns and took the time to be an informed voter. Each one of those actions helps to tip the scales to justice, to fairness, to health for citizens, and to a healthy democracy. And after this election is over, we need to continue to take those actions that will tip the balance toward progressive policy wins that support the people of Spokane, Washington State, and the entire country. Finally, I'd like to thank all the candidates that stepped up to run for office, and a very heartfelt thank you to everyone that supported my campaign this year. This is a team sport, and I'm so grateful for the amazing team that we have here. Good luck to all of us tonight with the election results. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Don Hamilton, and this is the Spokane Democrats Minute. The excitement was palpable the day Howard Dean came to town. The crowd snaked around the West Central Community Center. Inside, the gym was filled to capacity, and there was a large screen in the courtyard for the overflow crowd. A young Marcus Riccelli drove Dr. Dean to and from the airport. Yeah, I know. The date was August 25th, 2003. Coincidentally, the founding date of the Toad Hall Democratic Club. This has been the Spokane Democratic Minute. I'm Don Hamilton.
Hi, I'm Tom McGarry. As a Spokane County Fire Commissioner, I work every day with our first responders who are on the front lines of every crisis. Now more than ever, our communities need a representative who puts public health and safety first, follows the science, and works to get our schools and small businesses on the path to full recovery. We're all tired of divisive and ineffective politics. I'm ready to get to work for you, and I would be honored to earn your vote.
Zach Sapone comes from 6 generations of Spokane area wheat farmers, veterans, school secretaries, and teachers. After putting himself through college, he returned home to ensure everyone has a fair shot. As a teacher, he understands our needs. He wants to expand mental health services, create alternate pathways to careers through apprenticeships, and bring good-paying jobs to Spokane.
Let's build a future where everyone has a fair shot. I'm Zach Sapone, and I'm asking for your vote.
Some people say Bob McCaslin Jr. is a nice guy, but nice guys don't vote against our children, our health care, our economic future. And nice guys don't waste time trying to create a 51st state with Matt Shea.
I'm Lori Fagan. I don't make decisions based on political ideology. I rely on facts to find solutions. I've spent my entire career caring for the people in our community. I'm ready to fight for our needs in Eastern Washington.
Paid for by Friends of Lori Fagan.
Hi, I'm State Representative Marcus Riccelli. These are very difficult times, and though our community and state are resilient, we'll need strong representation to help keep us on track. Fighting for the health, safety, and economic future of Spokane families is my top priority. From demanding support for workers and small business recovery to leading local efforts to end hunger during the pandemic, I'll always stick up for Spokane by demanding our fair share and delivering for our region.
As your representative, Marcus Riccelli has catalyzed historic progress in our community. He led the bipartisan effort to create the WSU Medical School here in Spokane and its recent expansion. Representative Riccelli authored and passed the nation's strongest bill to ban discrimination in our rental housing markets, made certain our nurses were guaranteed meal and rest breaks, and led the initiative to provide dental access to 48,000 new low-income patients a year.
I'm proud of my track record of securing important investments in our community to create jobs and promote the interconnectivity of our region. I worked hard to fund the North Spokane Corridor to I-90, the Central City Line Transit System, and the University District Gateway Bridge.
Marcus Riccelli has delivered on important local community projects, including for West Central Community Center, Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center, the Corbin Senior Activities Center, the YWCA Family Justice Center, the Carl Maxey Center, and the Women and Children's Free Restaurant.
There's a lot more work to be done. We must address the racial inequality and economic injustice that holds us back. We must demand accountability as we reimagine what is truly possible when we seek to repair our system. I'm ready to return to Olympia and continue to deliver for our community, to provide universal access to healthcare and childcare and improve our neighborhood schools. With your help, we'll grow our economy from the middle out, creating family wage jobs and make certain every person has an opportunity to thrive. We need an economy that works for everyone, not just the wealthy few.
Marcus will work hard to ensure each one of our kids has access to outstanding K-12 education, no matter where they go to school. He will lead initiatives on digital equity to provide internet access to all Washington's kids. Representative Marcus Riccelli will continue fighting for high-quality early learning programs and wraparound services to help close the opportunity gap and ensure every child in Spokane can reach their full potential.
A robust democracy can only exist with an active and engaged citizenry. Thank you for doing your part. I'm confident that together we can bring our shared vision for Spokane to fruition. I ask for your vote.
I know I don't have to tell you how important this election is, but please, I beg your indulgence, give me an opportunity to rant about my thinkings about the reason this is so important because of what's happening on a national level, where we need actual, responsible, honest, rational adults in those positions. Joe Biden, Dave Wilson. At the state level, Governor Jay Inslee, who's been a champion for our values in the governor's office, as well as all the other statewide elected Democrats. Locally, at the county commissioner, David Green, Ted Cummings. At the legislative level, all of our entire legislative delegation, this is critical. It's not so critical for each one of those individual races. It's critical that we demonstrate our willingness to take our values to Olympia and demonstrate them in terms of public policy and in terms of budget. We're going to get there, and we're going to lead with our values, democratic values, with an Eastern Washington twist. I want to thank all the candidates that stuck their neck out and put their name on the ballot, and for all of you that worked hard on their behalf. This is important. I know you know that. It's time to bring it home. It's time to get it done.
Hi, I'm Andy Billig, and I have the honor of serving as your state senator from the 3rd Legislative District, as well as the Washington State Senate Majority Leader. Thank you for being a part of this virtual event. I'm hopeful that we're going to have a lot to celebrate tonight. In many ways, it feels like we're at a tipping point, politically, with racial justice, with our health and our healthcare system, with the climate, and so many other areas. And the thing about a tipping point, and I always think of those old-timey scales, the thing about a tipping point is that every action you take can potentially tip the scales one way or the other. And that's why it's so important that you voted and helped with campaigns and took the time to be an informed voter. Each one of those actions helps to tip the scales to justice, to fairness, to health for citizens, and to a healthy democracy. And after this election is over, we need to continue to take those actions that will tip the balance toward progressive policy wins that support the people of Spokane, Washington State, and the entire country. Finally, I'd like to thank all the candidates that stepped up to run for office, and a very heartfelt thank you to everyone that supported my campaign this year. This is a team sport, and I'm so grateful for the amazing team that we have here. Good luck to all of us tonight with the election results. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Don Hamilton, and this is the Spokane Democrats Minute. When Washington State's 5th congressional district was drawn, the first person elected to that office was Clarence Cleveland Dill. C.C. Dill served 2 terms in the House and 2 terms in the United States Senate. While there, he was the chief sponsor of the 1927 Radio Act and the 1934 Communications Act. He declared, before most could comprehend the meaning, the airwaves belong to the people. During the great Spokane Democrats' renaissance at the turn of this century, Chair Tom Keefe invented the CC Dill salmon feed, featuring Columbia River salmon contributed by Yakima Chief Wilbur Slockish. The annual CC Dill was the most successful and beloved event series in the history of the local party. Over the years, it was attended by sitting U.S. senators, congressmen, governors, and of course, a host of local Democrats. Perhaps when the plague lifts, the local party faithful will again gather on the banks of the mighty Spokane. This has been the Spokane Democrats Minute. I'm Don Hamilton.
Hi, I'm Tom McGarry. As a Spokane County Fire Commissioner, I work every day with our first responders who are on the front lines of every crisis. Now more than ever, our communities need a representative who puts public health and safety first, follows the science, and works to get our schools and small businesses on the path to full recovery. We're all tired of divisive and ineffective politics. I'm ready to get to work for you, and I would be honored to earn your vote.
Zach Sapone comes from 6 generations of Spokane area wheat farmers, veterans, school secretaries, and teachers. After putting himself through college, he returned home to ensure everyone has a fair shot. As a teacher, he understands our needs. He wants to expand mental health services, create alternate pathways to careers through apprenticeships, and bring good-paying jobs to Spokane.
Let's build a future where everyone has a fair shot. I'm Zach Sapone, and I'm asking for your vote.
Some people say Bob McCaslin Jr. is a nice guy, but nice guys don't vote against our children, our health care, our economic future. And nice guys don't waste time trying to create a 51st state with Matt Shea.
I'm Lori Fagan. I don't make decisions based on political ideology. I rely on facts to find solutions. I've spent my entire career caring for the people in our community. I'm ready to fight for our needs in Eastern Washington.
Paid for by Friends of Lori Fagan.
Hi, I'm State Representative Marcus Riccelli. These are very difficult times, and though our community and state are resilient, we'll need strong representation to help keep us on track. Fighting for the health, safety, and economic future of Spokane families is my top priority. From demanding support for workers and small business recovery to leading local efforts to end hunger during the pandemic, I'll always stick up for Spokane by demanding our fair share and delivering for our region.
As your representative, Marcus Riccelli has catalyzed historic progress in our community. He led the bipartisan effort to create the WSU Medical School here in Spokane and its recent expansion. Representative Riccelli authored and passed the nation's strongest bill to ban discrimination in our rental housing markets, made certain our nurses were guaranteed meal and rest breaks, and led the initiative to provide dental access to 48,000 new low-income patients a year.
I'm proud of my track record of securing important investments in our community to create jobs and promote the interconnectivity of our region. I worked hard to fund the North Spokane Corridor to I-90, the Central City Line Transit System, and the University District Gateway Bridge.
Marcus Riccelli has delivered on important local community projects, including for West Central Community Center, Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center, the Corbin Senior Activities Center, the YWCA Family Justice Center, the Carl Maxey Center, and the Women and Children's Free Restaurant.
There's a lot more work to be done. We must address the racial inequality and economic injustice that holds us back. We must demand accountability as we reimagine what is truly possible when we seek to repair our system. I'm ready to return to Olympia and continue to deliver for our community, to provide universal access to healthcare and childcare and improve our neighborhood schools. With your help, we'll grow our economy from the middle out, creating family wage jobs and make certain every person has an opportunity to thrive. We need an economy that works for everyone, not just the wealthy few.
Marcus will work hard to ensure each one of our kids has access to outstanding K-12 education, no matter where they go to school. He will lead initiatives on digital equity to provide internet access to all Washington's kids. Representative Marcus Riccelli will continue fighting for high-quality early learning programs and wraparound services to help close the opportunity gap and ensure every child in Spokane can reach their full potential.
A robust democracy can only exist with an active and engaged citizenry. Thank you for doing your part. I'm confident that together we can bring our shared vision for Spokane to fruition. I ask for your vote.
Hi, I'm Nicole Bishop, Chair of the Spokane County Democrats. I want to thank all of our local Democrats for their support. Throughout this election cycle, we have been privileged to see donations of all sizes coming from all types of donors. Back in July, I received a call from a lifelong Republican who said Trump scares him half to death. And now he's ready to donate to get Democrats elected. Even after the election, this doesn't need to go away. We are operating in the black, and we need to take this opportunity to build our war chest. We have critical city council races coming up, and midterms will be here before you know it. If the unfortunate response by the county commissioners to Dr. Bob Lutz is any indication, we have some work to do to replace Republicans at every level. I invite you to join the harmony of hundreds of Democrats and former Republicans who have donated this past year. Visit SpokaneDemocrats.org. From there, you can make a contribution, or better yet, select to be a Democrat sustainer with a monthly donation. As we get ready to close the books on this election, let's get an early start on the next election cycles.
With an Eastern Washington twist. I want to thank all the candidates that stuck their neck out and put their name on the ballot, and for all of you that worked hard on their behalf. This is important. I know you know that. It's time to bring it home. It's time to get it done.
Hi, I'm Andy Billig, and I have the honor of serving as your state senator from the 3rd Legislative District, as well as the Washington State Senate Majority Leader. Thank you for being a part of this virtual event. I'm hopeful that we're going to have a lot to celebrate tonight. In many ways, it feels like we're at a tipping point, politically, with racial justice, with our health and our healthcare system, with the climate, and so many other areas. And the thing about a tipping point, and I always think of those old-timey scales, the thing about a tipping point is that every action you take can potentially tip the scales one way or the other. And that's why it's so important that you voted and helped with campaigns and took the time to be an informed voter. Each one of those actions helps to tip the scales to justice, to fairness, to health for citizens, and to a healthy democracy. And after this election is over, we need to continue to take those actions that will tip the balance toward progressive policy wins that support the people of Spokane, Washington State, and the entire country. Finally, I'd like to thank all the candidates that stepped up to run for office, and a very heartfelt thank you to everyone that supported my campaign this year. This is a team sport, and I'm so grateful for the amazing team that we have here. Good luck to all of us tonight with the election results. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Don Hamilton, and this is the Spokane Democrats Minute. The Toad Hall Democratic Club began with the stated goal of putting the party back in the party. Many were the magnificent events held in the hall and the adjacent gardens. One of the most joyous occasions was the bestowing of the Crapeau Blair O, the Order of the Toad and Badger, upon worthy recipients.
Jay, I know you're going to be overcome with emotion, but congratulations, and please control yourself.
The management of the Toad Hall Democratic Club is both shadowy and dysfunctional. The exact number of recipients of the Order of the Toad and Badger has been lost to time, but known with certainty to have received it are, of course, Governor Inslee, both Senators Cantwell and Murray, and His Honor Jim Hightower. This has been the Spokane Democrats Minute. I'm Don Hamilton.
Welcome to Spokane Democrats Decision 2020 Virtual Election Night Party. I am Spokane Democrats Chair Nicole Bishop.
And I'm Spokane State Representative Marcus Riccelli.
We have some amazing guests coming to us live tonight and video messages from our stellar local candidates who you have been working so hard to elect, as well as other special guests.
It's a different kind of year and a different kind of election. We hope to celebrate a number of things with you tonight, victories, hopefully, but we realize some results might be unanswered.
What we do know is this election is the most important one in our lifetime. There is so much at stake as we work to elect people who will lead with decency, fairness, justice, and love. We are coming together to further a shared vision of support for our local candidates and champions, those who are willing to dedicate their lives for those who are powerless, and the dispossessed, the silenced, and the erased.
Tonight, let's be clear. Our hopes ride shotgun with a chance of victory with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So buckle up. And with that, we'd like to welcome Senator Patty Murray.
Senator Patty Murray is the highest ranking woman and the third ranking Democrat in the United States Senate. Elected in 1992, the so-called Year of the Woman, when a record-breaking 6 women won the U.S. Senate seats. Murray decided to run because she saw there were far too voices like hers at the table when decisions were made impacting women and families. She wanted to do more than yell and scream about it. She wanted to change it.
Since the moment Senator Murray was elected, she has used every tool at her disposal to help people, solve problems, and offer a clear and loud voice for progressive change. She's led the way in championing policies that empower women and working families, including equal pay for equal work, family-friendly workplace policies, and protecting women's reproductive rights.
Since President Trump's election, Murray has been on the front lines in the resistance to his anti-worker, anti-women, anti-immigrant, anti-middle class, and un-American agenda. She led the successful resistance to Trump Care each time Republicans tried to jam it through. And she has stood up and fought back each time President Trump has tried to bully people, attack women, incite hatred, and move our country in the wrong direction.
While making a strong case for progressive policies and resisting President Trump, Murray has also been able to break through partisanship and also been able to break through the gridlock to get results. After the government shut down in 2013, Senator Murray worked to finally halt the years of budget crisis and restore investments in education, healthcare, and jobs. She's also consistently delivered for Spokane, from veterans to healthcare. We're thrilled to kick off the Spokane Democrats Virtual Election Party 2020 by welcoming the senior senator for Washington State, Senator Patty Murray. Senator Murray.
Hey, Marcus, so good to see you. And to all of the Spokane Democrats, hello. Good to see you all tonight. I wish we could be there in person to thank all of our great candidates. We've got great candidates running for the state legislature, Zach and Tom and Lori, and I'm excited for all of them. And I want to thank everybody who is listening tonight, who made calls and donated and organized and voted and brought their friends in. I can't tell you how much I wish we were all together tonight in person. But, you know, one of the most important things we have learned over the last 4 years, as painful as they have been, is seeing how the urgency of standing up for our beliefs and standing up for this democracy actually brought people together. It feels wrong that we can't celebrate what we've done in a big room, shaking hands and giving hugs and cheering and all of it. But I also know that has made us stronger as well. And I know too that there are many people who we wish could be here with us tonight, who would have wanted to see this election through, who aren't with us anymore. And I want to take a special moment to honor Sally Jackson, who, as you know, we lost this week. Sally was a force to be reckoned with back when I ran in 1992 for the first time, and she led the Spokane Democrats. I remember her being the kind of person who was tough and expected you to work hard, but if you did, she worked just as hard for you. There are a lot of women across the country running for office now and in office today because people like Sally were there for them. I'm one of those people, and I'm thinking of her friends and her family and community tonight with gratitude for her, for all of her contributions to Washington State and our party in Spokane. And I know all of you are as well. I know there's people, we're missing a lot of people tonight, and if there's someone that you wish was sitting there next to you tonight who isn't, let's all just take a moment to remember them and know that I'm holding all of you in my heart. You know, what has kept me going for the last 4 very tough years is people like all of you who are watching tonight. People who stood up and said, I'm not just going to yell at the TV or be despondent. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to go to work and fight for what I believe is right. November 2016 was a very frightening time for all of us. From the very first Women's March, the day after the inauguration, I got so much faith and comfort in knowing that so many people were out there, women and men across the country, who want our nation to work towards realizing its values rather than going backwards and working towards everything we can accomplish together. And since then, we have seen an incredible diversity of people who stand up and say, why shouldn't I run? Or my voice needs to be heard, or importantly, your voice needs to be heard too. So our country is stronger for each of those people and everyone who stepped up and stood up for a vision of true justice and equality and opportunity for all, and against this president and the Republican Party, whose policies have shown us that they only care about whether this country works for those at the very top, and whose goal is to roll back a lot of the progress that we've made. All of you have shown time and again in the last 4 years that you do care, that you will wear a mask to protect others because experts say that's what we need to do, that you'll make a donation to a long shot candidate who may not have any chance, but your $5 gives them a boost. Thank you for that. Thank you for all of you who stood up to march and protest for your neighbor's rights, just as you would your own. And for all of you who have shown that we can send a message to people in this country that we don't want to go backward, and we want the world to know that, as well as our own country, that the United States of America is not done trying to be a shining example of democracy and equality and justice and freedom that all of us believe in. I am very hopeful that soon we will have a President-elect Joe Biden and a Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, both good friends of mine, that can help lead us in the work that's ahead and who understand really what families and communities are going through right now. I'm very hopeful that once the ballots are counted, and we're going to have to all have a tremendous amount of patience as we get through this time, but I'm hoping that we can get to work on a long list of policies that are so important for all of us, from taking this pandemic seriously to acting on policies to address systemic racism and healthcare and the climate crisis, and getting our kids back into school and helping our working parents. And I mean, there is so much we have to work on, and if we can flip the Senate, we can get them a new president, and we can help our candidates up and down the ballot, we know we've got a lot of work ahead of us. But what we have learned in the last 4 years is that every one of us has a huge role to play in making this democracy work for all of us, not just those with money or privilege. So votes are going to be counted and we'll find out, but we know that we desperately need a change of leadership. And once that happens, and I'm getting confident and hoping it will, it's not time to kick off our shoes and sit back, because we've got a lot of work in front of us. My hope is for all of us is this, that we'll see 100% fewer panic-inducing late-night tweets from the President of the United States. And I also hope that we'll put 100% of the energy and focus into the next 4 years that we have put into the last 4, because our work is just beginning. We have a lot ahead of us, and I look forward to working with every one of you to make our state and our country a better place. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Senator Murray. Thank you for your words. Thank you for honoring Sally Jackson. Thank you for your message about organizing. We know that a robust democracy can only exist with an active and engaged citizenry, and that takes all of us. Mainly, we're hoping that we can call you chairperson sooner than later, because that's what we're hoping for. And thank you so much for everything you do for our state, for our country, but particularly for how much attention you give to Spokane, the needs here. And we're very pleased that you were able to join us tonight. Thank you so much, Senator Murray.
Thank you. Great to see you. Take care.
Bye.
Hey. Oh, that was great. Through 2 terms as governor, Jay Inslee's focus has been on building a brighter future for every Washingtonian. Under his clear leadership, Washington helped build an economy that is ranked #1 for both businesses and workers.
Yes, we know firsthand, and I know her firsthand actually working in the legislature, that Governor Inslee has steadily led the way for profound social and economic changes in Washington as we raise the minimum wage, pass the best in the nation paid family leave, providing sick leave to every Washington worker, making historic investments in transportation and education, and passing critical first in the nation healthcare protections. And as the Trump administration has repeatedly threatened the rights of Washington's residents, our state has resolutely pushed back, suing the Trump administration more than 50 times.
The governor has firmly established the state of Washington as a national leader in fighting climate change. He created the Clean Energy Fund, a model for economic development aligned with climate change goals, creating hundreds of jobs and setting unprecedented emission standards, making Washington state the standard bearer for the nation.
From local challenges like toxins in the Spokane River to the existential threat of climate change, he's leading the fight to reverse course. I believe we're going to be joined shortly, or we're going to be welcome. Oh, there he is. Welcome to Spokane Democrats' virtual election night party, Governor Jay Inslee.
Welcome.
Hey, you look great even virtually.
Thanks, Gov.
Yeah, I like that flag.
What do you think tonight? How are things looking in your race?
I think this is a great night. For one reason is so many people voted in our state and in our nation. You have to celebrate that. I mean, we want to win every single race, but the fact that people care and vote, that's a celebration of democracy. That's something worth celebrating, I think. And tonight I'm full of the spirit of Sally Jackson. You know, the reason I mentioned Sally is her heart is something I'm going to keep alive as long as I'm in politics. And I know people well in Spokane with me. And we have such a great leadership cadre of Marcus and Tim and Senator Billig and Lisa. Spokane has done so much for our state. We're very appreciative of that. Now we got to win a few more seats to make sure they're even in bigger majorities so we can get that work done. And I'm proud of this group. I'm very proud of this group. I'm proud of Democrats. I'm proud of Democrats because we're the party that will actually face up to our challenges. You know, there's a fundamental distinction. I finally figured this out. I had to get to be 69 before I figured this out. The difference between us and Brand X is that we are willing to stand up and confront our challenges. We are willing to confront the healthcare crisis. We are willing to confront the climate crisis. We're willing to confront the COVID crisis. And we bring everything we've got to the table to be innovative in facing those challenges. I'm glad to be in a party that's willing to face those challenges. And the leadership you sent to our state from Spokane, they're always right in the van in this regard. So this is a good night, Marcus. I know you're not playing basketball tonight, but you'll be playing when you get back here in January, I know for sure.
Well, that sounds good, Governor. What are you thinking on the national level tonight, and how things are looking? And maybe you could also comment, you know, at the local level, we have some great races in the 6th district and the 4th district. What does it mean if we're able to grow our majority in the legislature as well?
Well, what it means is that first off, we won't lose things that the Republicans want to take away. Look, the whole Republican Party has wanted to take away Obamacare. It means that we won't have, you know, sort of heartless cuts to a variety of programs that, you know, people wanted to cut these programs that families depend on right in the middle of a pandemic, for goodness sakes. So we will be able to make sure those things are stopped. But it will allow us to make so much more progress. Look, we're the first state to adopt a public option for healthcare. This is a national leadership and one of the most important things of our whole nation. And we're right there at the tip of the spear in Washington State. And this is something that Tim and you know, Riccelli and Billig, they were right there to make it happen. Now we have to implement it. And so being able to implement it and have the political juice to do that, we need more help, frankly, but we can use it. We need to pass a clean energy standard for our transportation fuels so we can reduce climate change gases. And having more hands on deck is going to help do that. So we got great candidates. I got to tell you, I ran in '88 in Yakima. I wasn't half the candidate these candidates are. They're so much smarter and better resumes and a lot better looking too. So I can't wait.
Well, we just want to thank you for your leadership. We're hopeful and predicting a good night for yourself. We appreciate all your leadership in the pandemic, and we look forward to growing our economy from the middle out and building back Washington in a way that we can come out of this pandemic. Particularly, we want to thank you for your attention to Spokane and Eastern Washington, and we are hopeful for a good night. So with that, we know there's a lot going on. We want to thank you for joining us tonight, Governor Inslee.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Thank you for anybody who might have thrown a vote my way too. I very much appreciate that. Go Eagles, go Zags. We'll see you in January.
All right, see you later.
Bye.
Thanks, Governor.
Next, we want to welcome Senator Maria Cantwell. Senator Cantwell was first elected to the Senate in 2000 by a razor-thin margin, just 2,229 votes. So she knows something about being patient and counting every vote. Now she is the ranking member of the powerful Senate Commerce Committee.
Senator Cantwell is a fierce advocate for Spokane and Eastern Washington priorities. She led the effort to make permanent and fully fund the Land and Water Conservation Fund, which was so beneficial to our outdoor economy. She fights for Washington tribes, including passing legislation to address the missing and murdered Indigenous women crisis and getting long overdue compensation for the Spokane tribe for the loss of their lands. And whether it's cross-laminated timber, the build grant for the West Plains Amazon facility, or Spokane's aerospace cluster, Spokane really thanks Senator Cantwell because she knows what we know, that Spokane has all the ingredients for economic growth, and she's always looking out for ways to bring jobs to the area and boost our economy. Finally, on a personal note, I'd be remiss if I didn't add that both Nicole and I are Cantwell alumni. And with that, we're pleased to be chatting with you tonight, Senator Cantwell. Oh, Senator, I think we have you on. We're not getting your audio. Just 1 second here. Chandler, are we good? Good.
Go ahead, Senator.
Senator, can you hear us?
Marcus. Yes, I can. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the Spokane Democrats for everything that they've been doing to get the vote out and make us successful in reelecting people like yourself and the other people in the 3rd and various parts of Spokane County. I want to thank you, Marcus, for your hard work in the legislature and all that you do, because you really have put the focus on healthcare. And we know in Spokane, it's a huge priority. We've met so many people from Spokane who's come to the nation's capital to talk about pre-existing conditions, the affordability of healthcare, and things as simple as getting the basic health plan. So thank you for your leadership on that. And it's so great to be virtually in Hamilton studios and reaching out to Spokane Democrats who really worked so hard in the last couple of days. It's so important that we continue our efforts to grow and fight for the things we care about in our region. And Marcus just went through those. And besides growing an economy that works for everyone, getting ready for an energy future that works for everyone. And I'm so proud that Spokane does have the first cross-laminated net zero building in the state of Washington. That's an educational institution, and very proud of the things they're continuing to do. And I'm very proud of the governor for his leadership on the COVID pandemic. And I hope he goes to a soaring victory tonight after we see the initial returns for his hard work and dedication and focus to the state. He's led us through one of the most horrific events any of us will live through in our lifetime. And he's done so by helping to minimize the impacts and to look towards our future economically. So we thank him for that. And we're looking for a big victory tonight out of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And I hope that we get that we can move this country forward to a focus that does reduce the cost of healthcare, saves our pre-existing conditions, protects a woman's right to choose, and continues to make the investments in what we need to do on lowering prescription drug prices. So these are so many things that we fight for. That's why we get out and get the vote out. That's why we care so much, because then we know that they make a difference in the lives of individuals. And one individual I just want to take a moment to remember is Sally Jackson, who passed away yesterday, probably the ultimate Democrat from Spokane County. She really being a Democrat in Spokane Valley was not an easy task, but that didn't slow Sally Jackson down. Not only did she teach swimming lessons, she told people out there about how to get involved and be active in the party and encourage the next generation of people to keep up the spirit in our democracy. So to Casey, her son, and to all those in the Jackson family and to our larger Democratic family who is going to miss Sally so much, and we're so lucky to have known her, we just send our best to them. I know what Sally would want tonight. She would want victories for the Democrats. So thank you all for helping us get there. Let's keep fighting. Let's continue to make the investments that are going to make our state and our country stronger. So thank you, Marcus.
Thank you, Senator.
And thank you, Nicole.
And
Thank
Nicole,
you,
yes.
Nicole.
Yes.
We enjoyed the time when we were working, and people were always like, wow, you seem like you're sprinting everywhere. And it's like, I got to sprint everywhere to keep up with Senator Maria Cantwell. She's always on point, and I'm so lucky to have had that opportunity to work for you. Senator Cantwell, do you see anything on the national front tonight? Any predictions or any thoughts? We talked with Senator Murray. We're hoping that you can regain the majority potentially in the Senate.
Well, we're working hard on that tonight, and I hear that there's an early caller declaration in Colorado. One of the things that we worked so hard on, as you mentioned, was the public lands issues, to really invest in what is recreational opportunity for so many people to hunt and fish and recreate. And the fact that, we had colleagues join that effort very late, I think really we're going to see Coloradans who are going to say they know the difference between the President Trump's not very serious about our environment, really tried to do everything to run over it, and our efforts to come together to get that Land and Water Conservation Fund permanently protected. So it looks like a great victory headed our way in the Senate seat in Colorado.
Well, we're so grateful and thankful for all your work for our nation and our state. But we know how much you care about us here in Spokane, and that is so meaningful. And all your work. And we just wanted you to keep fighting for us, and we are ready to organize and get behind your efforts. They're meaningful, and they're changing lives right here in our state. So thank you so much, Senator, for joining us. And it was truly a treat for all of us.
Thank you, everybody.
It was a treat for all of us, Marcus. Thank you, Senator Cantwell.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Born and raised in Spokane, Lou and Natasha Hill represent the best of what we hope our community will become. Natasha is a local attorney and business owner, and Lou is an entrepreneur who holds an MBA.
Our party thrives when we can elevate voices of strong activist leaders who work to build our community. Natasha and Lou are those leaders.
So many were moved to action by the inspiring words they shared during the local Black Lives Matter protests that they were instrumental in organizing.
And their work didn't begin or end there. Natasha was recently honored with a Rising Stars Award from the Journal of Business, and Lou sits on the board as president of Spectrum Center Spokane.
Both sisters are omnipresent in our community, raising up voices of Black, Indigenous people of color, and leading the charge for needed change in Spokane. We are honored to present critical voices that represent the future of our party, Lou and Natasha Hill.
Hi, my name is Lucretia Hill. You can call me Lou. I'm the board president of Spectrum LGBTQIA2+ Center and a local business owner here in Spokane.
And I'm Natasha Hill. I'm an attorney, business owner, mom, and community advocate.
Voting is important to me because many of the liberties that I enjoy today came from voting. I vote to honor those that came before me and to ensure more Americans have access to liberties regardless of their identities.
I vote to have a say in who's creating and enforcing the laws and policies that impact me nationally and locally. We give the elected officials that we vote into office the ability to create policy and enact laws that will impact our lives and future generations. This includes who sits on the Supreme Court and who gets appointed as Attorney General. I believe my vote and all of our votes together shape the country we want to live in.
I even gifted many of my friends voter registration forms on their 18th birthday. It's our responsibility as the grassroots to engage in our civic realities.
Zach Sapone was compelled to run for office to ensure everyone has a fair shot.
To fulfill that vision, he knows we must continue to invest in education, good jobs with protections for workers, and affordable health care for hardworking families in Eastern Washington.
As a teacher, he has worked to expand opportunities for all kids and has been a food fighter during the pandemic. He has run an energetic and creative campaign and is ready to represent our needs and flip the 6th district.
Hello, Spokane County Democrats. I'm Zach Sapone, candidate for state representative. I grew up here in the 6th Legislative District and came home to work to make our community a better place. Spokane is my home and has been my family's home for generations. In fact, my grandma, Mary Springer, ran against Jim West for this very seat in 1982 as a single mom. We need change in the 6th District. I ran because we need to build an economy that works for everyone. We need a community where everyone feels respected and included. This campaign showed the 6th District is competitive. This would not have been possible without all of your hard work. I can't wait to continue the work with you, to champion our values and push for change. Thank you.
In the other competitive race in the 6th, Tom McGarry is taking on Jenny Graham, someone who shared conspiracy theories and threatened a reporter who wrote about it.
Tom McGarry has the experience and energy to take on today's challenges. As a housing attorney, Tom is dedicated to addressing homelessness by increasing the availability of safe and affordable housing for people from all walks of life.
Tom also serves as a fire commissioner. He chairs the Board of Fire Commissioners in Spokane County Fire District 9.
I think we're all hoping it's time for a change in the 6th District, a time for Tom.
Hey everyone, Tom McGarry here. I just wanted to thank every one of you today for all your efforts. You know, I've lived in Spokane for over 3 decades, and I've been spending much of that time serving my community. I stepped up because I know we need to be fighting for working people. I have been blessed to be surrounded by many like-minded people on my journey, folks like you. It's because of your hard work that I'm able to now run in the 6th Legislative District. I am honored and grateful for your support. Thank you.
The 7th LD is often thought of to be a sea of red, but we are fortunate to have some strong, stalwart Democrats in the 7th LD who are making sure to elevate critical progressive voices. Georgia Davenport, who is running for 7th LD rep, is one of these voices. She has a track record of showing up for her community and using her experience in healthcare and campaigns to advocate for life-saving legislation.
Happy election night, Spokane County Democrats. I'm Georgia Davenport. I was honored this year to get your endorsement for my 7th Legislative District Representative campaign. I want to give a shout out to Randy Michaelis, Michelle Kelso, Mike Bell, Joanne Fleming, and the 7th District Democrats for all the advice, vote builder training, and keeping me PDC compliant. Win or lose, I had the opportunity to talk with voters about many important issues, including healthcare. I hope that everyone watching this election night party will join me in supporting the whole Washington Health Trust as we run an initiative to get universal healthcare in 2021. Thank you so much again for all you do.
Lance Gorell ran a strong race for Spokane City Council last year, where he realized a lot of the issues he was passionate about were decided by the Washington legislature, not city councils.
So he decided that the best way for him to serve his community is to go to Olympia, to speak up for the interests of Eastern Washington, and be the voice for the legislature in the 4th District.
Hello, I'm Lance Gorell, candidate for 4th LD State Rep, Position 2. I want to thank all of you for your support of my campaign. Also, my warmest thanks to each of you for all you've done in this great mission to retake our community, our nation, and our democracy. You are the great wave of people who stood up to proclaim equity and justice will be the new lens in America. I've been honored beyond imagination to have been your standard bearer. Thank you.
Hillary Franz has proven herself as a defender of our public lands over the 4 years she served as Washington State's Commissioner of Public Lands. When the federal government tried to open up our waters to offshore drilling, Hillary refused to allow drilling equipment to cross our coastline. In the face of climate change, she's expanding wind and solar power and making significant investments to preserve forest land, protect agricultural lands, and restore salmon habitat.
As a leader of Washington's wildfire fighting force, Commissioner Franz has pushed for new strategies to respond to fires quickly and keep them small. She has secured record-setting funding to expand our firefighting team, restore the health of our forests, and help communities prepare. And in the process, she has earned high marks from conservatives and liberals, urban and rural leaders.
Hey, how are you doing, Commissioner?
I'm doing pretty good. It's isolated and lonely here on election night. It's a little odd.
Yeah, definitely. It's a different kind of election. I want you to know that there's several hundred good Spokane County Democrats watching along tonight, and they're really excited to hear about your work. I was wondering, you've been such a champion for our work on forest fires, et cetera. Is there some things you want to share about that work and how it's going, particularly how you've connected with Eastern and Central Washington in our plight with forest fires?
Yeah, I came into office in 2016, a significant year. It was on the heels of the 2014-2015 catastrophic wildfires, where we lost 1 million acres burned in 2015, and we tragically lost 3 firefighters' lives. I made it #1 priority to address this wildfire crisis. If we don't get on top of it, it was only going to get more significant. And I not only invested in how do we get more resources to fighting these fires, from air resources to firefighters to helping drive resources down to the local level. Our local fire districts are first on the line. But I also said we got to get at the root of the problem, which is we have 2.7 million acres of forest in central and eastern Washington that are dead, dying, disease, leading to these catastrophic fires. And we've got to be more proactive. Too often government waits till we're in the midst of a crisis to act. And then it costs more, it costs in lives, it costs the environment, it costs our economy. We're investing up front. We've got more work to do. That's why I'm running for another term.
Well, we're excited and we thank you. And I think what's been really remarkable is that you've really worked across the aisle and made this not a partisan issue. And it's important. A lot of people, as a 3rd legislative district representatives, say, we have all these issues in our rural areas and you should be focused on urban areas. And we know that our urban areas don't thrive if our rural areas don't as well. And I think also, the impacts on climate change and our forest fires are significant. And as we're working on that, I guess I was wondering what your thoughts are regarding the impacts of climate change.
Yeah, let me first start. This state is like our nation. It has this division. It has an East-West division, a Republican, Democrat, rural, urban. What we're seeing at the national level plays right out in the state. But honestly, I think as I've traveled this state and I've spent more time in the rural parts and the eastern parts of our state, we actually have more in common. Our rural areas are suffering the same way our urban, and sometimes to even more significant plight, because they don't have the kind of resources, whether it's transportation, health, housing, human services, unemployment, huge unemployment that's been even before our recession and now even exacerbated. We need more of our leaders investing at that local level in our communities, in our eastern and our rural communities, and actually meeting them where they are and saying, how can I help? That's what we've done on climate change. If you look at climate change, this state and my agency is on the front lines of climate change, whether it's responding to floods, responding to wildfires, responding to drought, and now we have even dust storms when we're not fighting fires. Every single day we're on the front lines of climate change. And those communities that are on the front lines of it are largely Eastern Washington rural communities. They know something is different. What they don't know and believe they can count on is leaders showing up to say, how can I help be part of the solution? We are changing that dynamic. So we're not sitting there saying climate change exists or doesn't exist. We already know but how do we get on the ground level and start to invest in those communities to make them more resilient to climate, to make sure we have food and water and forests, and the evergreen state stays evergreen, not charcoal black.
Exactly. And, I coach soccer, and it's not a joke now. We've added another season, fire season. So we got to make some changes, but we're so grateful for your leadership. We're so grateful for you joining us tonight. Any predictions for the elections?
Well, I mean, at the top, we have to have Biden and Kamala, right? Come on, right? Please. We can only take 4 years. I mean, right? When you're as old as I am, 4 years is a long time, right?
Well, not that it was a surprise, but breaking news, Washington has been officially called for Biden.
There you heard it first, right here on the Spokane Democrats feed with our Commissioner Lands.
That's right.
We have put Washington in the win column for President, hopefully elect Joe Biden.
And I think there's some changes in Spokane. I'm hoping Lori Fagan comes through strong. We got to see her in the House. I think we're going to see a strong showing in Washington State in the Democratic ticket, both at the House and the Senate level. And I'm hoping that we are able to also have a stronghold in Congress. Frankly, our forest crisis is largely federal, and we need them to step up, and we're going to need leadership.
Well, we're grateful for your leadership, and we so much appreciate you joining us for the work you're doing on the ground all over our state, but particularly east of the Cascades. Thanks so much, Hillary.
Thank you.
Thanks, BK. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
When it was exposed in a report that Matt Shea was a leader in the Patriot movement, and as that leader planned, engaged, and promoted armed conflicts of political violence against the United States government in 3 states outside the state of Washington over a 3-year period, one person stepped up strongly.
Lori Fagan knew that the quality of life of our community can't be achieved by giving in to extremism, fringe political ideology, or personal agendas. So she entered the race with knowing we deserve a representative in the 4th District, the Spokane Valley, who is thoughtful and balanced, who will maintain the moral integrity while listening and working collaboratively with those of differing experiences, perspectives, and priorities.
And when Matt Shea announced he would not run for another term, we all knew that Lori's toughness and tenacity played a part in that decision.
Why she runs is her theme. And now let's hear from Lori Fagan.
Election night is finally here. For me and my team, it's been a full year of meaningful conversations, of unusual challenges, and really hard work. My thanks to all of you who contributed your time, talent, financial, and emotional support. It's been an honor to be your candidate, but this was our race, and you should be proud. The strength of this campaign has already helped bring about one important change, ridding our state house of Matt Shea. The 4th isn't done cleaning house. Together, we will continue the important work of electing those who will truly represent we, the people. This is what democracy looks like.
They ran as a team for change, so we are introducing them as a team. David Green and Ted Cummings have worked hard to expose the need for change in our Spokane County Commission.
The outrage around our commissioner's actions on the health board in trying to fire Dr. Bob Letts exposes the lack of ethical leadership we're facing. Ted and David are for us. It's time for real change.
I'm David Green, one of your 2 Democratic candidates for Spokane County Commissioner. Thank you to the tens of thousands of citizens in Spokane County who voted for change at the county level. And thank you to all the local volunteers who worked to get out the vote for all of the candidates on the ballot in Spokane County. We're still counting votes from the 2020 election, but I encourage folks to step outside their comfort zones to run for local office in 2021 and 2022. Help make change happen locally. Thanks again.
On the Ted Cummings video, but right now we want to go on to somebody else, our candidate for 5th Congressional District.
Yeah, Dave Wilson. He's someone who believes that we are in a battle for the soul of America.
Here comes Ted Cummings.
Oh, and here's Ted Cummings.
We found.
Good evening. I'm Ted Cummings. I want to take this time to thank each candidate here tonight. I want to thank you for all of your hard work. I want to thank you for your courage and selflessness. Please know that your character and your empathy have been noted by everyone and have filled people with hope and inspiration. Whatever the outcome of the vote, know that your campaign really mattered. We are all richer because you chose to share yourself and your vision of what can or could be with all of us. Stay safe and God bless.
Dave Wilson believes we are in a battle for the soul of America. If you're not alarmed, you should be. The peril is real and it comes from within. The current president is a danger to our democracy and is aided and abetted by a GOP that's lost its direction and its moral compass. Dave is ready to work toward a saner and more just America.
Hi, I'm Dave Wilson, candidate for Congress in the 5th District.
Okay.
I appreciate this opportunity to say thanks to all of my great volunteers for their help and dedication to our campaign. They have worked countless hours and days to make our campaign visible and competitive despite our late start. I also want to say thanks to the rest of our friends and supporters in the 5th Congressional District who helped us conduct an effective virtual campaign. And finally, thanks to all the Democrats, including the county and LD parties. I sincerely appreciate your support. Win or lose, I am extremely grateful to all of you. Thank you.
We should be getting close to local election results. County Auditor Vicki Dalton said there will likely be over 240,000 ballots in the results released.
Wow, that's an incredible get out the vote effort.
A big surge in voter turnout has been from our younger voters. Let's hear from the Washington Young Democrats and local all-star Mark Carlos.
Hi, Spokane County Democrats. I'm Mark Carlos, Vice President of Membership Engagement for Young Democrats of Washington and Executive Board Member of your Spokane County Young Democrats. I can't begin to tell you how proud I am that the younger generations from all walks of life have begun to engage in the conversation on how to move our great country forward. We have faced a global pandemic, economic uncertainty, and political division head on and come up with innovative ways like virtual forums with our candidates and local legislators and virtual statewide phone banks. Whether you're a young Democrat or a young at heart Democrat, our democracy needs you. Please join us in our fight for our future.
Thank you for your dedication, Mark. In terms of dedication, we've been so fortunate to have people who have stepped up, whether it's to phone bank or write postcards or to donate. We're up against an incredibly organized Republican Party, which is pretty much the only good thing I could say about the party. So now we need to get a start on the next election season right now. Let's roll up our sleeves and begin to out-organize them. Visit www.SpokaneDemocrats.org. I'd love to start seeing donations pile in this evening, so before this election night is done, we're ready for the next one.
Let's see if we can raise $3,000 tonight. So let's go after it. I think we have a good chance of making that goal, Nicole.
I think so too. Let's do it, guys. I believe in you.
Now I think we're getting a little bit closer to returns. I think we're going to go to Senator Andy Billig. If we got him ready to go on Zoom. And as we're working to get that, I think it would be interesting or exciting. Maybe we could hear from one of our awesome council presidents, Brian Beggs. Maybe we could line up that to go. Oh, there's Andy. Let's do that later. We got live action. Andy, are you able to hear me? Well, it would help if I turn this on. It's live TV, folks. We're doing the best we can, and that was user error right there. Senator Billig, how are you doing? Welcome to the Spokane Democrats Decision 2020 Virtual Election Party.
Oh, Marcus, so great to be with you. Hello, everyone. Fun evening, and so glad to be able to celebrate with Washington State Democrats and Spokane County Democrats. Just awaiting the results, Marcus. Should be any moment now, and look forward to celebrating those with you.
I was wondering, Senator Billig, and certainly we're so pleased that you are our Senate Majority Leader in the state Senate, working in with a great team with Representative Ormsby, our Chair of Appropriations. But I was just wondering, from the state Senate side, are there any things you're watching tonight particularly closely?
watching several races all across the state. But Marcus, I want to tell you that we just got some results in. So if you're ready.
Yeah, let's do it. I got to pull up my website. I'm glad you are ready to roll. What do we got going on?
So Marcus, first, let me be the first to congratulate you on re-election with 62% of the vote to go back to Olympia.
Well, thanks, Senator Billig. It's a huge honor to serve this community, and we can talk about that later, but I know we got some other stuff. How did you do, Senator Billig? Did we get you for another 4 terms?
Looks like at 60% of the vote, I'll be going back to Olympia as well.
All right. Well, we got a great team.
And Tim Ormsby as well at 64% of the vote. And I just really grateful to all the voters of Spokane. Really an honor to serve Spokane in the 3rd Legislative District and to work with you and Representative Ormsby as well. I think we make a great team. So now let's go look at a couple of the other races here.
Awesome. What do you think, Senator Billig? Have we got any early results, let's say in the 6th district?
Yeah, it looks like close races in the 6th district. So I don't think we're going to know tonight in those races. Looks like Zach Sapone at just under 49%. So that is very, very close. That's as close as we've been in a while in against Mike Voles at 51% even. So that race is really close, and the late ballots there could certainly turn the tide. In the other race, it looks like Tom McGarry at 47 and Jenny Graham at 52 and a bit. So that one also very subject to changing in the late votes. We've seen much bigger gaps than that change as the votes get counted. So congratulations, Tom and Zach. Great results, and we are going to be watching and cheering you over the next couple of days.
Fantastic. Let's walk it down. I know we have some really tough races, but we had some really great people who ran for office. Maybe we can take a look at the statewide results. Have you brought that screen up? I'm struggling a little bit here with my technology gap.
Yeah. So I'm going to hesitate on the statewide because not all the counties have reported, so it sometimes can be a little bit misleading. I wanted to go to the county commissioner races where we had Ted Cummings and David Green both step up and run great races there. Unfortunately, it looks like they ran strong, but it looks like they're going to come up a little bit short. Ted Cummings at 43.9% to Josh Kearns, and David Green at just under 42%. But I think hats off to Ted and to David for stepping up to run, running really strong campaigns. And this is about holding the incumbents accountable. And I know both incumbents were nervous about these elections, and really grateful to all of the candidates that stepped up to run this year.
Absolutely. Well, I'm thinking maybe as we're waiting for some more of the statewide results, and maybe we could take a quick break and listen to some of our videos that we have, and then come back, Andy, and we could talk about a few more races. So I was hoping if we could maybe go to some of our city council electeds. I'd love to start with, we have a great team. Just one second here. Oh, there we go. Go ahead. We're going to go to Nicole.
Yeah, perfect. And I'm really honored to introduce Becca Mason. She's the chair of the 4th LD, right in the thick of Matt Shea territory. And she has done an absolutely incredible job to organize Democrats to stand up against the bigotry and the oppression propagated by Shea's followers. Becca is the type of leader that any political organization should be lucky to have. Organized, strong, dedicated. She has a powerful voice, which she is proud to raise for the good of her LD and the good of the county as a whole.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Mason, and I'm the chair of the 4th Legislative District Democrats. I am so grateful to all of our strong candidates who stepped up to run for office in this election and showed up strong for our community. The work that we're doing doesn't end after this election. There will always be grassroots work to be done, regardless of who our representatives are or who our president is. We all have a responsibility to make the Democratic Party a diverse and welcoming space for progress and prosperity. We do better when we confront these issues together. So let's continue to work collectively to affect change, both locally and nationally. Thank you.
Excellent. We're going back to Senator Billig, and looking at a number of other insights across the state as well. I was wondering too, you're watching the national results. Well, anything striking coming out in your mind? We've talked to Senator Cantwell and Senator Murray tonight. Is there anything kind of sticking out, or are you looking at the presidential race as well? Are there any key states that you're tracking particularly closely?
So definitely excited about what's happening in Arizona, but I think everybody on pins and needles to see what happens in Pennsylvania. And I do now have some of the results from around the state, if you're interested.
Absolutely. We love it. You're actually our live call tonight. Senator Billig is delivering the results, and I wouldn't want any other person doing it.
So in the 28th legislative district, this is just south of Tacoma, is a race that was being watched very closely within the Senate, with Twana Nobles, who would be the only Black senator in the state Senate when she wins, and she would be unseating Steve O'Ban, one of the most conservative state senators. She is up with 51.75%.
Wow! All right,
that's a really good result there. I know there was interest in the governor's race, so that one has been called by the AP. Jay Inslee at 61.72%.
Well, we don't have the big logo, but we have all the enthusiasm for all those watching along. Congratulations to Governor Jay Inslee on winning another term. Woo!
Yep. Lieutenant Governor, looks like Denny Heck is up with 47% of the vote. So, and a strong write-in vote at 17.93, and then Mark Elias at 34%. So that was an interesting one that I know was being closely watched by Democrats.
Yeah, and I think we've been pleased to be communicating with both Senator Elias and Congressman Heck. I do believe Congressman Heck will be joining us a little later tonight, so that'll be a fun conversation as well.
Yeah, and then I think this is going to be an exciting result for a lot of people watching this event. It looks like referendum 90, which was the sex ed bill, which approved means to retain the sex ed bill that we passed in the legislature, is currently passing with 61.7% of the votes statewide.
That's a pretty overwhelming. Yeah, Nicole.
And that's, but I'll caution that's without all the counties reporting so far.
Excellent. Well, those are thanks for being kind of our on the ground reporter, getting us some results from across the state. We'll get my tech up and running a little bit better, but you have certainly helped us out a lot to keep moving on. As we kind of move, we have AG Ferguson that's going to join us in a few, but any kind of other final thoughts for the night? I mean, we're so pleased at what you've been able to do for our community, and so excited that you're in the position you are. We're certainly thrilled that it looks like there's the potential for a growing Senate majority. And certainly we'll be tracking some of the state house races. Some of our local elections didn't go as well as we were hoping, but we're in tough territory, and that's why we need to rise and organize. And this is just roll up our sleeves time. And I think that that's a great reminder, Nicole. If people are willing to go to SpokaneDemocrats.org and make a donation, that would certainly be appreciated to fund all the hard work that goes. Because it's not just these even years, it's not just these presidential cycles. We really have to organize all the time. So any parting thoughts, Senator Billig?
Well, just Marcus and Nicole and everybody there at Hamilton Studios, thank you for hosting this event today. Thanks for all the hard work in this election. I think there's a lot to be excited about. I think those races in the 6th district, those 2 House races are really close. We've got a chance to pull those out in the next few days. And again, just honored to be able to serve this community and appreciate all the support and the partnership and working with you and Tim, Marcus, and look forward to going back to Olympia with you. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Senator. And we're not quite ready for Attorney General Ferguson. So I was hoping we could discuss a little bit about what you think about the local results, and then maybe we could hear from some of our city council members. So basically, but let's go here. Volunteers are the backbone of our party. They're the strongest resource any campaign has. Washington State's coordinated campaign has made over 3 million phone calls to voters. That is only possible through the dedication of our volunteers.
Shirley Grossman is one of those special volunteers who dedicates her heart and soul to the party. She is responsible for coordinating volunteers and health and safety measures so that the Democrats' office could open up. In fact, from August until now, the only days Shirley hasn't personally been in the office was for a surgery and for Yom Kippur. Our party is lucky to have dedicated volunteers like Shirley, and I am proud to share her message.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shirley Grossman, and I was never political. I was a peace-loving music teacher until an ugly Mr. T came along. He has violated every commandment that my parents have taught me to live by, and he is out to destroy our democracy. We have to have goodness and kindness and integrity in the White House. Joe has to win, and I thank all of you who have worked so hard to make it happen. And it has to happen. Go, Joe!
Now we will hear from Blair Amundson, Spokane County Democrats Labor Representative.
Happy Election Night, Democrats. Happy Election Night, Democrats. I'm Blair Amundson, Labor Chair for the Spokane County Democrats. I feel like this gets said every year, but this is one of the most important elections of our lifetimes. Workers in Washington state have made huge gains in the last few years. We have some of the highest levels of unionization in the entire country. We're leading the way with steps to increase the minimum wage and guarantee paid sick leave and paid family leave for all Washingtonians. At the same time, corporate special interests threaten to undermine the power of workers through dark money-funded organizations and a judiciary packed with right-wing activists. But we can keep moving forward with Democratic wins up and down the ballot if we all stay engaged. We voted, now we need to organize. Form a union in your workplace, lobby on an issue, create a socially distanced event, fight for the rights of workers, fight for a clean energy future, fight for Black lives. Stay committed, and we will win. Thanks, everybody, and enjoy tonight. Oh, and one more thing. Make sure you wear your mask.
We all know Attorney General Bob Ferguson's record of protecting our values. He's gone head-to-head with the current administration on every issue, from women's reproductive rights to our environment to protecting our most vulnerable populations.
We all need to understand the depth of commitment to our values that AG Ferguson and his team are providing. He has sued the Trump administration, won. His record's pretty great. 35 wins against President Trump and his unlawful policies.
From keeping undetectable 3D printed guns out of the hands of criminals to having blocked Trump's discriminatory military transgender ban and stopping Trump's EPA from rolling back protections for endangered marine wildlife, just to name a few, AG Ferguson and his Office of Professionals have stood tall.
We are truly lucky that in this Washington, we have a champion for justice and democracy. I'm proud to welcome to our Spokane Democrats Virtual Election Party 2020, Attorney General Bob Ferguson. Mr. AG.
Hey, Marcus, great to see you. Thanks, Spokane Democrats. Thanks to you both, that warm introduction. Hey, it's great to see all of you on this big, big night for our country and for our state. I just came downstairs from sitting with my 12-year-old twins, Jack and Katie, who, if I recall, Marcus, we were all over in Spokane County for an election night return not too long, if I recall correctly. They were over there and with my wife, Colleen. So they were just trying to understand why their dad is at 74% in King County and 31% in Yakima County. That's what they're trying to sort out.
I certainly understand. My mom's always wondering why I'm not getting 100%. I have to kind of explain that that's not how it works.
It's so true. It's so true. But really, I just want to say real quick, first of all, thanks to each and every one of you, you know, really from the bottom of my heart for everything all of you do. And I speak just as a candidate for myself, but for everybody else who runs for office as a Democrat in Spokane County or across the state. It just means so much to me and to all of us candidates to have the support of grassroots individuals and organizations like all of you in the Spokane County Democrats. So first, thank you so much. Number two, it's especially meaningful because, look, when I first ran for office, I ran in a local campaign and the election was very close. So close that if one person in each precinct had voted for my opponent instead of me, I would have lost. It was literally that close. If one voter had switched their vote, I wouldn't be talking to you right now as your Attorney General. So I've come to really appreciate the value of my late father, who put up every damn yard sign. God knows how many he put up, but every day he came by the house, he got the list, he got the yard signs, loaded up, and off he went, talking to voters and putting up the yard signs. And all the friends and family members and colleagues, I didn't have corporate money, I didn't have big endorsements. I just had grassroots people writing checks, large and small, knocking on doors, doing that grassroots work. So even though I was outspent, we won that race. And that's what grassroots support like you provide to candidates, it makes that kind of a difference. And we know we'll see those close races here in Washington State. So thanks again for all the work that you do. And then maybe just the other thing I'll mention real quick, Marcus, is, as I've been tracking the Biden campaign, obviously, and how close it looks like it could be, it's clear it could come down to a state. It's clear it could come down to a lawsuit. And so what I want you to know is I'm going to take about 7 minutes to celebrate tonight, my victory tonight. But at 9 o'clock tonight, which I think is, Marcus, maybe 25 minutes away, at 9 o'clock tonight, I've got a meeting with my legal team. And we're talking about making sure we're defending our democracy and making sure that every legal vote is counted across this country. So I just want you to know, I've been in regular communication with the attorneys general of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin in recent weeks and days and literally hours about the state of their race and to do what we can to support them. And that may even involve litigation here in Washington State. As many of you know, we filed a federal lawsuit in the Eastern District of Washington against the Postmaster General and President Trump for those outrageous service changes that slowed down ballots and our mail here in Washington across the country. That wasn't just us. We led that lawsuit, but we led a coalition of a dozen states, including Michigan and Wisconsin. So they're part of our lawsuit here. And that federal judge has made some excellent rulings. In fact, on Friday, he required that post offices throughout Wisconsin and Michigan do sweeps of their post offices to make sure that there are no ballots lying around those post offices. So we may well be back in court in Eastern Washington with the attorneys general of Wisconsin and Michigan as part of our case if we see problems in those states. Even if we're not in litigation here in Washington, you can be sure we'll be supporting AGs like Josh Shapiro, the Democratic Attorney General of Pennsylvania. I want you all to know if this comes down to Pennsylvania, you could not have a better ally than Josh Shapiro. He's a great guy. He's an even better attorney. He knows what he's doing. His team is sophisticated, and we're in regular contact with Josh and his team and helping him out. So my team's been drafting complaints. They've been drafting motions for months, weeks, days to get ready for tonight and tomorrow. And we'll be ready to go to just make sure, we uphold our democracy, make sure every legal vote counts, and make sure this president does not try to steal a victory away from Joe Biden. We won't let that happen. So look, I probably taken too much time already, Marcus, but
we're so appreciative. You're a defender of democracy, and over the past 4 years, your leadership really putting Washington State on the map as a state that can push back against all the stuff coming out of this administration that's trying to kind of reduce the fabric of who we are as a country and really go after some of our most vulnerable populations. I really appreciate all the work. We appreciate your connection to Spokane, not just your support of Gonzaga basketball. We support the constant work that you do and your team, which we know is hugely important. And I'm also hoping tonight to be speaking with someone very familiar, Mike Pelliciotti. So looking forward to that. And go Zags and go Democrats. Thanks so much, Attorney General, for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, everybody. Go Zags. Have a great night. Thanks again, everybody.
Yes. Thanks. All right. Well, as a PCO myself, I can speak to the critical role we have in the party. Now I'm happy to share the voice of one PCO, Jay Lale, Precinct 4009.
Visions of exclusionary otherness, people who can champion our humanity and place their lives in the. Hi, I'm Jay Lale, and I believe this election will decide who can lead us into the future, who can lift people up and bring them together rather than feed them as raw material into the machine of wealth and power and enforce divisions of exclusionary otherness. People who can champion our humanity and place their lives in the balance with those of the powerless and the dispossessed, the silenced and the erased. Tonight, what hope I have remains to me for a free society of equals. Ride shotgun on the chance of victory for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Now we will hear from Nagmana Shirazi, Spokane County State Committee member.
Hello, folks. My name is Nagmana Shirazi. I am an immigrant, scientist, educator, and a Muslim. I have chosen to make Spokane my home for the last 8 years. I work with a lot of local orgs, PGILS, Refugee Connections of Spokane, Greater Spokane Progress, Spokane Coalition of Color, NAACP, ACLU, Fuse of Washington, Asian Pacific Islanders of Spokane, Spokane Women Together, Sisterhood of Salam Shalom, faith leaders and leaders of conscience, amongst others. I'm also the elected state committee member for the Spokane County Dems. I have become a part of the Spokane landscape, as you can see, in a very interwoven manner that makes me proud to be associated in its society and its economy. As a Democrat and as a Muslim, this election is critical to many of the groups I represent. The Dems are the only party that respect and will protect all of these things that make me who I am. We have seen much higher voter turnout at the polls in the days leading up to the elections compared to 2016. As a collective, we have made huge efforts to fundraise, phone bank, turn out the vote, and create awareness. We did it because we care for the environment, the people, and the world that we live in. Thank you to each and every one of you for making a difference. My son and I can't wait to see a positive change as the outcome of all our collective efforts. Thank you.
Our next video is from someone who served in the Washington State Legislature from 1996 to 2013, in the Senate, where she was the majority leader.
Let's not forget that she served in the State House too. She's also ran an energetic and exciting campaign to take back the 5th District. And while she lost that election, she galvanized thousands of individuals and young people that are making a difference in this election this year, including my campaign coordinator, Chandler.
Woohoo. As Commerce Director, Lisa Brown is helping build our state back and working on housing, economic development, and crushing the digital divide so every Washingtonian can have access to broadband.
It's now more important than ever to have such an important voice for our state coming straight out of Spokane. Let's hear from Lisa.
Wilma Mankiller was the first woman chief of the Cherokee Nation, and she said, "The most fulfilled people are those who get up every morning and stand up for something larger than themselves." And that's what you do, Spokane Democrats. And I want to thank you so much. That vote that you do, the campaign that you help out with, the postcard that you wrote, all of that really matters. We can see it at the state level, where Washington State, because of the people you've elected, have the first paid medical leave in the country, and one of the first states with marriage equality, and taking on the climate goals we need to take on for the health of our planet. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And point of personal privilege, Brian McClatchy and I thank you for 2 years ago when so many of you gave so much to our congressional campaign. And as I said before, everything you do matters. It shows up in the vote totals, but there are also things that you don't see, like if you're an older person, that younger person learning from you, or if you're a younger person, that friend who's modeling their behavior on yours. So thank you all, Spokane Democrats. Let's have a great night.
We have an exciting guest joining us, but before that, I just wanted to announce one of our statewide positions that doesn't get a ton of attention. Treasurer had been one of the few offices statewide held by a Republican, and I'm just announcing, and hopefully saw that Mike Pelliciotti, who had served in the House with me, is leading that race. So good news on that front. Now we're excited because the chair of the Appropriations Committee, the senior legislator from the 3rd Legislative District, and basically my older brother from another mother, Rep. Tim Ormsby, is joining us live. And let me congratulate you on your reelection and your strong numbers. We're so excited.
Oh, well, thank you, Marcus. I'm very humbled to be a part of this, and I want to compliment you and Nicole for your very good work here tonight. I know that this is very difficult. You probably have a whole new appreciation for live news broadcasts now, given how fleet of foot that you need to be in these circumstances. And I want to, you've gotten very good counsel from all the folks that have spoken before. And a couple of things have struck me that were meaningful in my development that I think will be helpful for us all to remember. And I'm really struck and heavy in the heart about our loss of Sally Jackson. And what that meant to me personally, but what she meant to the community and what she meant to hundreds and to thousands of kids in the Spokane Valley and throughout our community for all the hard work that she did on behalf of kids. And I think that's something that we should remember. We had a great turnout. I think that speaks to the excitement that is out there. It speaks to the excitement nationally. It speaks to the excitement here locally with a super high turnout. And I've always contended we get better decisions when more people are involved. And I am proud of all of you for your role. I'm proud to play a humble part in this stage production, this political theater that we're involved in. And thinking about Sally, Marcus, the one thing that she focused on was kids, on young folks. And I am so impressed with the leadership that we have gotten from younger folks in our community. It takes my breath away. It humbles me. It makes me feel proud that this community has raised such stellar human beings that I am really ready to turn the keys over to when their time comes. And there's an old adage, Marcus, and you'll remember this as a campaign veteran. When women vote, Democrats win. And I think a corollary to that adage that I've experienced, particularly as it pertains to climate justice, to gun safety, to racial justice, is that when young people get involved, Democrats improve. And the issues that are forefront of our young folks' minds are high time that we took up in the legislature. And I know that you know that. You've been a strong voice on these things. We need those young folks' voice. And I'm very excited to be a part of the organization that is the Spokane County Democrats. I'm very humbled to have been given the opportunity to serve my community in this capacity. And I'm thrilled to death to work with you and Andy on a regular basis. And we need more like-minded folks in Olympia on our community's behalf. And thank you for all the work you do, everyone out there, to all the candidates that stuck their neck out, to all the people that supported their campaigns. This is one thing that I just like to leave folks with, Marcus, if I may, and that is we're not shiny, sparkly people over here. We're focused on outcomes. We know what we want to achieve. And with a laser focus, we get that done, not in a flamboyant way, but in a very practical, outcome-oriented way. And I would just say, let's just continue to be quietly awesome. We're good at it.
Well,
Let's keep
you're
doing
one
it.
of the best, Tim. When you lead as chair of appropriations, you don't run towards microphones. You don't make a big deal about it, but we know your commitment to our community. You have a heart for our most vulnerable, and we're so lucky to have you at the seat as our chief budget writer in Washington State. So extremely important. We're so grateful for the work that you do. We're so grateful for the team atmosphere in the 3rd Legislative District, and your colleagues across the state on both sides of the aisle. Respect, you're just a workhorse, and you put Spokane first, but you also have an eye for the most vulnerable in our whole state. So thank you, Tim. We really appreciate you joining us tonight. And congratulations on, I know you don't like accolades, but being the #1 vote getter in the 3rd Legislative District tonight. I'm not worthy.
Can I just say, because we tease each other like siblings, that is our nature, and that's why we can get things done. But I've been telling everyone, I hope Marcus gets more votes because he's so competitive. I don't want to have to look over my shoulder over the course of the next little while. And that's our joke. And it is really a pleasure to serve with you, Marcus, to serve with Andy and Representative Riccelli, Senator Billy. But let's not stand on ceremony. We're family. We're family in our legislative district. We're family in our county. We're family in our party. And let's treat each other like family. Have fun, but back each other up.
All right. Well, you heard it. Representative Tim Ormsby, reelected, Chair of Appropriations, senior member of the delegation, and just a good friend. So thanks for joining us. And thanks for your words about Sally Jackson, too.
Thank you, Nicole. And go Spokane County Dems.
Yes.
Thank you.
Tonight, as we gather around, we start to realize that the election that we're facing tonight isn't the end of a chapter, but it's the start of a new one. So as we're getting results pouring in, we have to start looking ahead and looking forward. We're making great gains in a lot of areas that have been traditionally very red. And so I invite all of the Democrats who are watching today, let's get a head start on that next chapter. Please visit www.SpokaneDemocrats.org and make a donation. Even a $5 donation makes a huge difference in the grand scheme of things. And once we get a few more donations piling in here, we'll start doing some live shout outs as well. So SpokaneDemocrats.org.
Awesome. I feel optimistic about the great Democrats here and their ability to put some money into the efforts. It's too important to do the work, not just now, not just leading up to presidential years, but for our city council candidates, for our county commission candidates, up and down the ballot.
Exactly.
And I'm not sure, do we have Congressman Heck who is on the line? Oh, excellent. So it looks like our Lieutenant Governor-elect, Congressman Denny Heck, someone who has been deemed at times the surrogate congressman for the 5th District, because he spends time out here and he cares about our issues, but he also loves some Gonzaga basketball. Let me be the first from the Spokane Democratic Party here to congratulate you on a good race and what looks to be, I hope I'm not calling it too early, but what looks to be your victory in the Lieutenant Governor's race.
Thank you, Marcus. And indeed, I want to thank all Spokane County Democrats for everything they've done in this election to help people get elected, myself included. It's, politicians say it all the time, how humbling it is. And I fear that we say it so often that it is taken as being disingenuous, but it is. It's incredibly humbling and an honor to hold these jobs. So what Marcus and I know are mutually committing to is getting to work and earning and deserving the support that we have received from all of you. So I'm very, very grateful. It feels pretty good. It would feel even better if come spring, we bring a national championship home to Gonzaga.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm planning on.
Well, Congressman, so I just wanted to get your thoughts. You really made TVW work for our state, which is critically important for Eastern Washington. But, we're in a pandemic. Committees might be remote. I thought one of the things I was wondering maybe you could chat about is how do you think participation in this pandemic times can be used, the technology, et cetera, to make sure people outside, east of the Cascades can participate in the process?
Well, just like in the rest of our lives, where we have largely stayed home and used software platforms like this one, Zoom, to connect with people, I think you're going to see that amplified very considerably in the legislative environment. And that can include to the more remote areas or the more distant areas from the state capitol. And that's a good thing. I've always thought that whatever ails democracy could be cured by more democracy. That was the whole spirit behind TVW, believing in transparency and open government. And that extends to everybody throughout the state, including to my second home of Spokane County. So we're going to have to go through some stuff, Marcus, and you know this. It's going to be awkward and cumbersome to conduct the business of the legislature through these new protocols. It's going to take more time, and we're all going to have to commit ourselves to narrowing our focus on the top priorities. We simply aren't going to be able to process the number of bills we usually do. I'm extremely encouraged by my conversations with legislators who have pretty routinely acknowledged this reality. But of course, living that reality, as we all know, may be a different thing when we actually bring the gavel down and start the session. We've got the triple crises of the COVID pandemic. We've got the economic recession. We've got a budget shortfall. And in addition to that, I think we've got a moral imperative to finally step up on climate change and racial justice issues. I'm optimistic that we're going to be able to do that, but we're going to have to be very self-disciplined about how we do that. I have a lot of confidence in you, Marcus.
Well,
you're smart enough to be a Gonzaga fan. You're smart enough to do this work.
Well, thanks, Congressman. Question for you before we let you go tonight, because sometimes, I mean, the Lieutenant Governor's office had traditionally been involved in economic development and really looking overseas, et cetera. What is one thing our viewers here tonight should know about the Lieutenant Governor's office and about your priorities that you'll bring to the job?
The Lieutenant Governor is by statute a member of 10 boards and commissions and chairs the bicameral bipartisan Legislative Committee on Economic Development and International Relations. I'd like to bring my experience in Congress, previously as Chief of Staff to Governor Gardner, my service in the legislature, and maybe most importantly, my experience in the private sector to that position, because we're going to need to develop some new strategies going forward to make sure that the people who have lost their job during this recession, which is the worst since the Great Depression, are going to be given the tools to succeed in the economy of the future. And our small businesses are going to need the assistance to be able to make sure they can survive the balance of the time we're laboring under this pandemic. So that's what I'm most excited about. But the truth of the matter is, first comes the legislative session and an awful lot of work under new conditions for all of us. I also want to congratulate the people of the 3rd Legislative District for being smart enough to send you back again, sir.
Thanks, you're too kind. Well, we thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing what you can do in this new capacity. And thank you for your public service and everything you've done for Washington State, both in the legislature, for TVW, which, you know, classrooms rely on, Eastern Washington citizens rely on to participate in our process, and in Congress. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Spokane Democrats. Marcus and I are going to go now prove we deserve the honor you have given us, and go Zags.
Go Zags.
Thank you. I believe in you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Denny. I think we now have, Nicole, we have Mike Pelliciotti on the line.
Fantastic.
Let's see if we can bring him up. Well, there's Representative Pelliciotti. Welcome to Spokane County Democrats 2020 decision election night virtual party. I think I didn't say that quite right, but the words are not quite flowing because I'm so excited that it looks like one of the only statewide positions that was held by a Republican is changing to Democratic tonight. What do you have to say about your race?
Well, first of all, you know, thank you, Marcus, and it's so good to see so many friends from Spokane. You know, the place where I went to law school and where my mom currently lives. Look, I mean, you pointed out it is difficult to beat an incumbent. In fact, no incumbent state treasurer has ever been beaten in the history of our state, and with the help of so many good Democratic activists in Spokane, we just did it. And I am really excited that we're going to be getting rid of our current Trump-supporting state treasurer and making sure that that now there are no longer any statewide elected officials on the West Coast who support Donald Trump. And I think that is going to be, you know, we're representing, I think, the values that represent the people of the state of Washington.
So the treasurer's office doesn't pop, you know, in the first thing in people's minds when it comes to elections. Why do you think it's an important office? What are some of the things that you think you can do? And let me just add, While I love serving in the legislature with you, there was always some confusion between Riccelli and Pelliciotti. So I'm
and we
glad
sit
you're
next
moving
to
up in
each
the
other,
way.
Mark. Yeah, Marcus, we sit next to each other. So, it wasn't, there was certainly more than one time when they called on us by the wrong name during when we were speaking in the legislative session. No, look, state treasurer position is an incredibly important position. It's one of these kind of down ballot positions that are often overlooked. But state treasurer invests over $100 billion of your money. And we need to make sure that all of the efforts that we do as a state, especially when we're dealing with our state finances, is best serving the working families and retirees of our state. And one of the things that excites me so much is, running this campaign without any corporate campaign donations. This is the first time in a long time that the banks are not going to fund and determine who the state treasurer is. And the state treasurer is responsible for regulating a lot of the banks here in our state. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that the interests of the people of the state of Washington are met at all times. And we're going to do that now in this position. I'm really excited about all the various initiatives and opportunities to really advance various issues that are important to the people of the state of Washington. So no, and we couldn't have done it without the help of so many folks in Spokane, place that I come visit quite a bit, and I can't wait to get back to.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Treasurer-elect. Pretty soon here, Mike Pelliciotti. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Our city council is fighting hard to make a difference, from affordable housing to public safety, from civil rights to healthcare. And with your help, they are keeping the Spokane City Council blue.
I know firsthand we have
I'm
a team
Spokane.
that works well with local, state, and national leaders to move Spokane forward. Let's hear from 3 of these progressive leaders.
And all the calls. I'm Spokane City Council President Brian Beggs. I want to thank you all for showing up election night, this campaign season, and all the calls, texts, emails, and social media posts that you leveraged to get our message out and our votes counted. I want to call out the thousands of younger people who voted this year in record numbers. You translated the slogans of the Sunrise Movement and Walk for Our Lives into action with tremendous results that will change Spokane, Washington State, and our country forever. Thank you.
Hello, I'm City Councilwoman Candace Mumm, and thanks to you for all of the tireless Democratic volunteer hours and your financial support for all of the great candidates this year in 2020 in Spokane. I also want to thank you for 2014, because that was the year you helped get me elected to the Spokane City Council, and we turned it from red to blue, and we haven't stopped since. We have added Karen Stratton, Lori Kinnear, Brian Beggs, Kate Burke, and now Betsy Wilkerson. And working together, we are making great changes in the city. We have put Spokane on the map. We have a cleaner river. We have cleaner air. We have a team working on climate change. We have a brand new riverfront park. We've been helping the homeless, and coming soon, we have a new STA 6-mile-long rapid bus transit system coming right through the city. You made the difference because you showed up and you cared. Thank you. And let's make 2021 bluer and better together.
Hi, I'm Councilmember Betsy Wilkerson. I just want to say what a historical moment for women, especially Black women. Through all our hard work marching out in the streets, calling voters, writing postcards, fundraising, and contacting your representatives, you have changed up the conversation. I have marched with you, and I can say that this time the momentum is real. Let's keep encouraging everyone to join in our fight for historically marginalized Americans like women, BIPOC folks, and LGBTQ+ folks to see true societal equity and economic prosperity. Together, we can rebuild the economy in an equitable way for all. Continue to use your time, talent, and treasure, and always use your voice.
Hello, I'm Don Hamilton, and this is the Spokane Democrats Minute. When Washington State's 5th Congressional District was drawn, the first person elected to that office was Clarence Cleveland Dill. C.C. Dill served 2 terms in the House and 2 terms in the United States Senate. While there, he was the chief sponsor of the 1927 Radio Act and the 1934 Communications Act. He declared, before most could comprehend the meaning, the airwaves belong to the people. During the great Spokane Democrats' renaissance at the turn of this century, Chair Tom Keefe invented the C.C. Dill salmon feed, featuring Columbia River salmon contributed by Yakima Chief Wilbur Slockish. The annual C.C. Dill was the most successful and beloved event series in the history of the local party. Over the years, it was attended by sitting U.S. senators, congressmen, governors, and of course, a host of local Democrats. Perhaps when the plague lifts, the local party faithful will again gather on the banks of the mighty Spokane. This has been the Spokane Democrats Minute. I'm Don Hamilton.
In the time that I've been chair of the Spokane County Democrats, I have been so incredibly heartened to see the number of people who have stepped up, even outside of their comfort zone, to fight for progressive change and to really fight for the soul of our nation and for our county. Some of the races didn't turn out the way we wanted them to, but we've moved the dial significantly. Every election is that important next step toward our future. And so with everything that's happened, I am so proud to call myself a Democrat. And I have a hat to prove it. Funny enough, here's my little pitch. We've actually, thanks to Kane McLaughlin at Preferred Labor Sign, have these hats, Spokane Democrats hats. You could get them for a suggested donation of $25. Go ahead and email chair@SpokaneDemocrats.org if you'd like to reserve one. They're limited edition. We only have 60 remaining. And ultimately, I've been so heartened by the work that people are doing that I've signed up personally to become a sustaining donor for the Democrats with a monthly donation. And those with the means to do so, I hope you will as well. I promise that in my time as chair, I will be a good steward of these funds. And I know that with the dream team here in the 3rd and those who are getting elected, we have a lot of work to do and a lot of work that's done. And I would appreciate your support to the party.
So go online and look. We want to thank all those who have been involved tonight. We have a few more things we want to chat about, but Nicole, I want to thank you for your leadership. I want to thank all of the volunteers. I think, our party, our virtual watch party, we heard from a lot of our candidates. We had some great videos. We heard from a lot of our statewide candidates. It's been a great opportunity to connect with Democrats who are in leadership positions. And just because our party is wrapping up doesn't mean things are wrapping up. I think, there's a lot left to be told about this election cycle, but it's clear the real work is beginning.
It's true. And we need you now more than ever to move forward. Healthcare for all, childcare for all, digital equity, affordable housing, ending hunger.
It's critical to truly address racial inequality and economic justice and to demand accountability as we reimagine what is truly possible when we overhaul a broken system.
We need to reverse course on climate change.
We need an economy that works for everyone, not just the wealthy few. There is so much work to be done.
Thank you to Hamilton Studios and those who helped make this possible behind the scenes. Don Hamilton, Lorna St. John, Jennifer Gatz, Hannah Sander, Marcus Riccelli, William Kilpatrick, and Chandler Forsyth.
Nicole Bishop as well. Hey, look, plan, strategize, organize, and mobilize for decency, fairness, justice, and love. The stakes have never been higher. Thank you for the work that you have done, but more importantly, thank you for the work that I know you will do.
Thank you so much for joining us on this important night.
Robert Kennedy said, "The future will not belong to those who are content with the present." Let's get to work. This has been a Toad Hall production, and we have one special message that we want to end with.
Yeah, we want to end by honoring the memory of longtime Democratic activist and community influencer Sally Jackson, who will rest in peace knowing that she cast her last vote to change the direction of our country. We've heard a few speakers throughout the night from different parts of the state even who could speak to Sally's leadership and the mark that she left on our community. She was a bright light to all who knew her, and her light always shined blue. We are all so grateful for her decades of dedication to the party. So many lives are better simply because she lived, she fought, and she led. Her loss is a hard one. She was an extraordinary woman and a local powerhouse. Her memory and her legacy will not be forgotten. We wish love and care to all of the many, many lives she touched and who will feel her absence so deeply.